Hey gang, IG Berserk here. Just wanted to show you guys a quick video, or as quick as I can make it, on basically how to set up the USB host controller for the 3DO FZ-1 model. I decided to pick one up since I had a 3DO FZ-1 model laying around. Basically what this allows you to do is with a USB stick, you can plug it in there and run all your 3DO games off of that USB stick. I got it from the 3DO renovation site. There's essentially two versions. Basically, you can get an external, which comes with a front panel, so you can just plug it into the front, or an internal version. I decided to just get the internal, even though it would be more convenient, but at the same time does cost a little bit more with the external. But once I put all the games that I want on the USB stick, I don't plan on opening up the 3DO again. Now you could potentially, use like a USB extender and drill a hole and, just have it running on the side or on the back where, you don't really see it. But yeah, so I ordered it. It's coming from, I'm not sure exactly, maybe Russia, I believe. But the person says it usually takes anywhere from like 10 to 25 days, generally 12 days to reach the States. So I got it basically like 11 days later, around that time. Ordered it September 19th is when it shipped out. And I got it October 1st, but it was there over the weekend. All right, here's a sped up video of me taking it apart. There's 4 screws on the bottom. Really simple to take apart overall, guys. And then once you get those out, it's just basically like latched on. Then the top comes right off. And then we just need to get the CD drive off. So there's 4 screws, 2 on each side. Yep. And then it just comes right out. But there's this little metal shielding on top, the casing. It uses just, tension. You can easily remove the tension. And then you have the 2 CD cables for the drive. And then here, basically you need the bracket that the CD drive tray is in, so you have to remove that for the USB host controller. So here I am struggling with one of the screws, but it's essentially, I believe, 4 screws as well. Yep, and then you just basically have to screw it on there, and you can use the same screws that came with the CD drive. Connectors go in just fine. Yep, and then those same screws. And yep, that's pretty much how it looks. Almost done here. Now, depending on which 3DO FZ-1 model you have, the top casing may actually just be snapped on. So you could essentially unsnap it so you can, still put the top on but still see, what's inside. So since this is for testing purposes, then, I leave it exposed for the meantime. Alright guys, so the next step is securing your ROMs if you haven't done this already. With the way the USB 3D host controller works is that the USB stick has to be formatted to FAT32 and the games have to be in ISO format. It doesn't matter whether you're using a subdirectories or just have them on the main thing. But yeah, you do need them to be ISOs. Now, when it comes to however you obtain those 3DO games, like for the testing purposes, I went to Edge Emulation because this seemed to give me the best chance of actually getting the games to work. So now, whatever you obtain, it's generally going to be in a image queue file or possibly a bin queue file. So you basically need to convert it to an ISO. And there's a few applications out there that can do the converting to the ISO, but the only one that I could recommend, that's the only one that worked for me. And I knew it worked just for the fact that when I had downloaded these games and I had converted them to ISO, I burned them and then I was able to get them to work on the 3DO since the 3DO doesn't have copy protection. So that's how I knew that this application would work for that. And that application is WinISO. I tried other things like Magic ISO, Power ISO, and a few others, and converting them, it did not work. So WinISO is the only one that worked for me. The only thing is that I can't do a batch conversion with WinISO. If you attempt to, it just tries to do the whole folder, meaning, the Q file, the image file, any type of, image types in there, it would try to convert. What you have to convert is the Q file with the image file in that folder. And that's essentially the proper way to do it. So here I'm just, grabbing all the necessities, 7-zip to extract the files, WinISO to convert. And just to show you, since it wasn't showing the image file properly, I just went to, the options for the folder and made sure that known extensions were shown. Because generally, at least depending on where you get it, you'll generally see like a queue and an image file, possibly a queue and a bin, or maybe even a queue and an ISO. If it's already an ISO, then you're good. If it's not, you'll need to, load the queue file and convert it. So here's WinISO, convert, browse to the folder, select the queue file. And I usually like to convert them in the same area, makes it easier for me. But I'll just put it in the 3DO games folder for now. Successful. Now the next step is your USB stick. Any size should work. We're gonna have to format it to FAT32. You can even use, say, a micro SD to USB adapter. That worked for me. I obtained FAT32 format. Easiest program I can think of to use. You just click on the little image, save file, open, and then select the right USB stick. You can name it whatever you want, and then start. and then close. And then just navigate to where you have your games, copy them, and then navigate to where you have the USB stick, and then just paste it in there. Or if you have multiple games and you want to, try to clean it up a bit, you can have, subfolders like maybe A, B, C, D, so forth, with, the corresponding letters for the games being in those respective folders. But for testing purposes, in this video I'm only showing Demolition Man, but in the next video you're going to see multiple games. Now this came with the USB host controller, but this is only if you're doing a single game, which kind of is pointless in my opinion. Now the next step is basically putting your USB stick in. And basically I'm just, displaying this through my laptop using a capture card. And that's how the menu looks. I have a couple of games on there. And there's two ways to load the games, pressing A if they're encrypted and B if they're unencrypted. Essentially for me, I only really needed to hit A for the games that I was testing. Now here the screen timed out on me, so I had to move the mouse because the capture card isn't recognized as a program. And there may be a little delay. Sometimes it responds really quick, sometimes it's somewhat slow. But yeah, this is me actually playing Doom. Now to reset, like to get back to the menu, you basically press the, eject button once and you press it again and hold it. And that will get you back to the menu with, all the games on it. And now I'm not too sure because I don't have much information on this. I don't know if it's maybe my USB stick or just the luck of the draw. But sometimes you run into issues with some of the games loading. Like Dragon's Lair here I had issues with. But, I restarted it, tried it again, and it finally came up. And I don't know if it's maybe, the USB stick I'm using isn't as great as another USB stick that I may use. That is pretty much the gist of it, guys. Basically, overall, it really isn't that hard of a process. I chose to do a video because I really wasn't finding much information on the process. But yeah, the main issue is just getting those ISO files. You'll probably have to convert them like I had to do. The internal version is cheaper than the external. Depending on who you are, you may choose the external over the internal. The only thing is that, yeah, you see how the opening is there where the CD tray used to be. I just took the faceplate off the CD tray and hot glued it on there. So, I'm going to close it up once I have all the games on there and I'll be set. I hope this information helps, guys, and have a good one.